Welcome. Today we're going to talk about one of the new cool types in Java since Java 14 is the Java record. It's a great way you can work with data and do some cool stuff with that. Why do we have a Java record? Well, there's a lot of boilerplate code when we're talking about model class information we really don't have to write. Our compiler can handle a lot of the information for us. If you've worked with any modern IDE, it'll automatically generate most of that boilerplate code for you. And with the Java record, you don't have to do that. It's already right there. Another reason we want to use this is because you're working with a data source that's already been defined and you don't have to modify anything of it because it's already data you want to use. It's theirs and you're not trying to change it. You just want to analyze it and work on it. You also have possibly some internal JSON, you have JSON or CSV data you've already ready to read from a file and it's right there and you want to do some work on it. And there's no inheritance requirements because unfortunately it's the one bad thing about records is you can't inherit. But hey, that's okay. We can get past that because we're talking about doing data analysis and we don't need to work with inheritance to talk about that using Java. So a record data type. So the header on that specifies the constructor and the data members all at once and allows the object itself to contain private data just like it should because the data member should be private. We shouldn't expose that information publicly. The accessor methods are just the name of the data member followed by parens. So easy, you don't have to worry about anything with that. And it either generates or synthesizes, whichever term you want to use, that equals hash code and a really useful toString method automatically in addition to the getters and setters that are part of the actual record data type. So it's a great tool to use. Let's talk about the definition of a record itself. So a record will start with a package statement just like a class. If you aren't using packages, you really should. It really allows you to organize your code much more effectively than simply throwing it all inside one single folder. Then you have any importance you need because again, your composition of your structure might have different pieces that are outside of the original package. No big deal, you just import it, we're good to go. The header then has the keywords public and record, of course, followed by the type name we're working with, and then each parameter is inside the parens separated by commas. And the body itself is just an open closed set of squigs. That's it. Your record is completely defined just by that. So let's take a look at that right here with the next example. So here I have an example of record. I'm using the package of data.model because of my data structures project. I have a public record, the two keywords, then the internet cat, the type I'm working with, and then I have my parens and I have my comma separated list of the data members of that thing. So I have a string array named tags, a string named MIME type, an int of size, a string created at, a string edited at, which are dates but stored as a string, and finally the string underscore ID to reference the URL image that we're working with for talking about the cats as a service internet type. And then as you can see, my body of my class is simply, or excuse me, the body of my record is just an open closed set of squigs. It's great, it's easy. All the auto-generated code you might be right-clicking on in Eclipse and generate whatever is implicitly synthesized just by the record data type. You don't have to do any of the work yourself. It's handled right there by Java immediately. So it's a great tool for that. If we want to use that, we just instantiate just like an object with a new keyword followed by its constructor call. The internal state will be accessed by calling the appropriate data member name followed by the parens. It's great, it's really easy. And then the toString method I was talking about earlier, it's great. You can actually use it. It's not giving the @ gobbledygook of the hash code. The toString actually specifies the values of each of the toStrings of all the data members inside that record data type. So it actually displays information that you can actually use with that. And so we can see what that use looks like right over here. So if we're going to use this, I've got my private void method unused code for cats because I'm talking about my cats as a service data structure. And so I've got a string array named cats of cute and cuddly. Okay, great string of cats. And then my internet cat demo is a new internet cat, passing it tags, then image/JPEG for its MIME type. And its size is 1,123,999 because hey, why not? And then I have my two strings of and string for some date, and then sample image to reference the various other data types that, or excuse me, the other data members inside my project. And I can simply do system.println. It'll implicitly call the toString, and I get the values of tags, the toString of that array, which is not helpful, but that's okay. And then image JPEG, the number 1,123,999, and then end string for some date and sample image as the values for the it has the name of the information and then it's typed right there printed out for you. I can also use it to read from a JSON right there. Use my JSON IO controller method to grab that same thing, and I can print the toString out directly by calling it just like that because the methods are already right there. They're already available right there for you. So a record is a great data type to use. I've been using it with my data structures project this year, and it's been a great example with students on how to actually do some lightweight code writing for students. They can use the data right there. You can also customize your record data type if you want to add some increased functionality. Not often the case you might want to do that because then you write a class for that as well. But if you want to just add, say, for example, a default constructor, it's really easy. All you have to do is go inside the squigs of that. You give the default constructor or the zero parameter constructor right there, and then you just use the this keyword to call that, passing the values you want to specify for a zero parameter constructor. And it'll simply reference the parameters that we have right there above for the tags, MIME type, etc. of that constructor call you'd normally be using with the regular record with a parameterized constructor. And you can do some cool stuff with that. that. It's an amazing tool. I highly encourage that when you're working with any data you're trying to read from an external source, that you use the record data type as your new tool for that, because it'll simplify the amount of code you have to write and also make it really easy for when you don't need to change that data. You can access all the information for it, and it's a great tool to use. Hope this is helpful. Cheers, to see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.